The morning light spills softly across the window. Eleanor sits at the edge of her bed, feeling the quiet weight of a new day. Her knees whisper a familiar stiffness. Her shoulders hold the memory of time. She breathes in deeply, slow and steady, the air cool and kind. Years ago, mornings like this felt heavier, as if her body belonged to someone else. But today, something is different. She has learned the gentle art of listening to her body. She knows that movement, even the smallest one, is a promise to herself. Outside, the world is waking, a bird sings, a door opens, a kettle hums. Eleanor lifts her arms, her fingers tracing invisible lines in the air. It's not about reaching higher, it's about feeling alive again. Her breath and movement begin to find rhythm, like a quiet song returning home. Each stretch melts a little of the morning silence. Each breath reminds her that life still moves within her. For her, this is not just a routine. It's a soft beginning, a daily act of grace. The story of her body continues, one stretch at a time. And in this moment she smiles because she is still moving. The body remembers. Every movement, every still moment, every forgotten ache. Eleanor once believed her stiffness was just age knocking softly at her door. But now she knows it's more like an echo, her body calling her back to listen. Years of bending, lifting, worrying, and waiting had written themselves into her muscles. Her shoulders carried stories of things she never said. Her lower back held the weight of days that felt too long. Even her hands told quiet tales of care, of giving, of time. When she moved, she could feel her history unfold beneath her skin. The body, she realized, doesn't forget. It keeps every posture, every sigh, every silent tension. It holds them gently until you're ready to release them. Some mornings, she felt the heaviness in her hips before she even stood up. It wasn't pain, it was memory resting in her bones. The world outside would wake, but her body needed a moment longer. A slow inhale, a soft roll of the shoulders, a small twist at the waist. She learned to move as though speaking to herself through motion. It was never about perfection. It was about presence. One morning, she caught her reflection in the mirror. Her back wasn't as straight as it used to be. Her hair carried more silver than sun. But her eyes, they still carried light. She smiled not because she looked younger, but because she looked alive. Every stretch was like opening a window in an old house. Air and light would pour in, chasing out what no longer belonged. She remembered how, years ago, she would rush through everything. Work, chores, conversations, even her own breath. But stretching taught her patience. It taught her to meet her body where it was, not where she wished it to be. When she reached upward, it wasn't to chase youth. It was to greet the day. When she bent forward, it wasn't surrender. It was trust. Her body spoke in sensations, a pull here, a sigh there. She began to understand its language again. Each muscle held a story, and each stretch was a gentle rewriting. She could feel the years of tension softening under her fingertips. Her body was not her enemy. It was her oldest companion. It had carried her through joy and loss, through laughter and quiet. Now all it asked for was kindness. She thought of her mother who once told her, "Take care of the body that carries your soul." Back then she didn't understand. Now she does. It's not about resisting time. It's about embracing it, honoring it, breathing with it. The body remembers, yes, but it can also forgive. With each stretch, Eleanor lets go of what no longer serves her. She feels her breath move more freely. Her chest opens, her spine hums, her mind quiets. And for a moment she feels weightless. Not because time has paused, but because she has learned to move with it. The body remembers, and so does she. Eleanor once thought stretching was something young people did before running. Something about energy and speed, things she believed were behind her now. But one rainy afternoon, she sat with a cup of tea and read an article. It spoke about how stretching isn't about strength, but about softness. It's not about pushing, it's about allowing. Those words stayed with her. The science, it said, was simple but powerful. When you stretch, your muscles lengthen, your blood moves more freely. Your body becomes lighter, your breath deeper. It's like oiling the hinges of a door that hasn't opened in years. Eleanor liked that image, her body as an old, faithful door. It had opened to so many memories, and now it needed care. She learned that the body is made to move. Not with force, but with flow. When muscles are warm, they stretch and expand like soft rubber bands. When cold, they resist, holding tight to every small fear. The key, she found, was warmth, gentle warmth from breath and intention. She began each morning by breathing into her joints, one by one. The science said this increased oxygen, reduced stiffness, calmed the mind. But to Eleanor, it felt like talking kindly to herself. She wasn't just moving her body. She was listening to it. Sometimes she'd pause mid-stretch and smile at the strange peace it brought. Her arms felt lighter, her back looser, her neck less burdened by time. The science explained that stretching releases endorphins, the body's quiet joy. She didn't need to understand the chemistry. She could feel it. There was a rhythm to it all: breath in, reach out, hold, breathe out, let go. Every inhale a greeting, every exhale a release. It became her moving meditation. She learned the difference between static and dynamic stretches. Static for stillness, dynamic for energy. Static was like resting beside a calm lake. Dynamic was like walking through sunlight after rain. Her body began to crave these moments of movement. It was no longer a task. It was a conversation, a ritual. When her daughter visited one morning, she watched Eleanor stretch slowly. "You look peaceful," her daughter said softly. Eleanor laughed. Maybe peace lives in the muscles too. Her daughter smiled but didn't understand fully. How could she? Peace is something you feel, not explain. As days passed, Eleanor noticed small miracles. She could reach the top shelf without wincing. Her steps felt steadier, her balance stronger. The science behind it spoke of muscle elasticity and neural pathways. But Eleanor called it memory, her body remembering how to move with grace. Stretching became her quiet rebellion against stillness, against the idea that aging means slowing down. It wasn't about youth, it was about freedom. Each stretch whispered, "You are still alive, still growing, still here." The science told her how it worked. Her body showed her why it mattered. And in that balance between knowledge and feeling, she found her truth. Movement was not about doing more. It was about being more present, more gentle, more alive. The sun rose slowly that morning, painting gold across Eleanor's curtains. She opened her eyes before the alarm, her body already aware of the day. The air felt calm, soft against her skin, like a quiet invitation. She sat up, feet touching the floor, the coolness grounding her in the moment. For a long time, mornings had been heavy, slow, filled with hesitation. Now they were her favorite part of the day, a small beginning, a fresh breath. She stood near the window, feeling the light brush against her face. Her body whispered, "It's time." Her routine had become something sacred, not about exercise but awakening. She began with her neck, slow circles, each motion melting a little tension. Her shoulders followed, rising and falling like gentle waves. She could hear the faint pop of release, the soft rhythm of breath. Arms lifted next, stretching toward the ceiling, fingers spreading wide. She imagined gathering sunlight in her palms and bringing it to her heart. Her spine rolled down slowly, one vertebra at a time, her body folding forward. The movement was slow, patient, like unwrapping herself from sleep. Her breath guided her, inhale to rise, exhale to release. Every stretch was a quiet conversation with her body. She didn't push. She invited. She didn't demand. She listened. Her knees bent gently, her hands brushing the tops of her feet. She felt her hamstrings hum, her back sigh, her mind clear. A sense of gratitude bloomed quietly in her chest. This wasn't about flexibility. It was about remembering she was still here. She moved to her sides, arms reaching out, twisting softly at the waist. Her spine felt alive again, her ribs expanding with space and light. Outside, a bird sang, as if matching her rhythm. Eleanor smiled, eyes closed, letting the sound flow through her. Her balance shifted, her heart steadied. The world felt kind in that moment. She finished with a deep stretch, arms wide, palms open to the morning. Her breath deepened, her shoulders relaxed, her heart steady. The movement felt like prayer without words. Each gesture a thank you to the body that had carried her this far. She remembered how, months ago, she could barely lift her arms without pain. Now she moved with a grace she hadn't known she still had. It wasn't perfect. It wasn't meant to be. It was human. It was enough. As she stood there, the warmth of sunlight resting on her cheeks, she whispered softly, "This is how I begin." The words weren't planned. They simply arrived like breath. Her body felt lighter, awake, open to possibility. The stiffness that once ruled her mornings was gone, replaced by flow. Stretching had become her way of greeting the world. It reminded her that movement, no matter how small, was a celebration. A promise to live gently, to move freely, to keep listening. The morning stretched around her, endless and kind. And Eleanor smiled, ready for the day to unfold, one breath at a time. The clock ticked softly in the corner of the living room. It was midday, and sunlight stretched lazily across Eleanor's wooden floor. She had just finished watering her plants, the smell of damp soil calm and familiar. Outside, the neighborhood hummed quietly, a world in gentle motion. She took a sip of water, then placed the glass down and stood tall. Her body had begun to ask for movement again, not loudly, but gently. Midday was her moment to recharge, to wake her energy before the afternoon drifted in. She began with her wrists, rolling them slowly, feeling the rhythm of her pulse. Her fingers spread wide, her palms turned upward as if greeting the light. Then she lifted her arms overhead, stretching until she felt her ribs expand. Her breath deepened, her chest opened, her heart lifted. The stillness that sometimes crept in after morning now began to melt away. Eleanor leaned to one side, then the other, her body swaying like tall grass in the wind. Her hips followed, circling in slow, smooth arcs, releasing the weight of stillness. She could feel her spine lengthen, her joints loosening with each breath. A small smile played on her lips as her muscles woke from their quiet rest. This wasn't about exercise. It was about remembering movement as a language. A way to speak to her body, to say, "I'm still listening." She stepped back and lifted her heels, stretching her calves, feeling strength return. Her ankles rolled gently, her toes pressing into the floor, grounding her. She moved with no plan, just instinct, a dance between breath and awareness. Sometimes she'd close her eyes, letting her body guide her instead of her mind. It felt like freedom, small, simple, but deeply alive. She thought of how she used to rush through her days, always doing, never being. Now, in this still moment of gentle movement, she found peace. She stretched her arms out again, feeling a wave of energy rise through her spine. Her shoulders softened, her breath flowed evenly. She could almost hear her body thanking her. When she turned toward the window, the garden shimmered in the noon light. The flowers seemed to sway with her rhythm, quiet companions in motion. Eleanor took a deep breath, inhaling the scent of earth and sunlight. She felt her heart expand, her spirit steady, her body renewed. Every small motion was a reminder that stillness doesn't mean stopping. It means listening, waiting, choosing when to move again. She finished with her hands over her heart, feeling her pulse beneath her fingers. It was steady, alive, patient. The world outside was still busy, but inside time felt slower, kinder. Midday stretching had become her pause, her sacred reset. It carried her through the rest of the day with ease and lightness. As she sat down again, she whispered to herself softly, "Movement is not what I do, it's who I am." And in that quiet truth, she smiled, balanced, awake, beautifully alive. The evening arrived softly, with golden light fading behind the trees. Eleanor stood by the window, watching the world settle into calm. The air was cooler now, filled with the scent of rain and jasmine. Her body felt slower, heavier, as if the day's weight had sunk into her bones. She closed her eyes and let out a long, steady breath. It was time to let go. The evening stretch had become her favorite ritual, a quiet act of release. She began with her hands, circling her wrists, feeling the gentle pull of motion. Her fingers spread wide, opening to the soft rhythm of breath. Then she reached her arms overhead, her spine growing taller, her chest lifting. She exhaled, lowering her arms slowly, as if melting the day away. Each movement carried intention, each breath a small forgiveness. Her shoulders rolled back, releasing hours of quiet strain. Her neck tilted gently side to side, easing the stiffness that lingered. The world outside grew darker, the sky painted in deep blue and violet. Eleanor's breath matched the fading light, slow, quiet, unhurried. She bent forward slightly, her hands resting on her thighs. Her back stretched, her muscles humming softly with warmth. She wasn't trying to push farther, only to feel present again. Her knees bent, her legs moved gently, finding rhythm with her heartbeat. She felt her blood flow, her tension dissolve, her body remember peace. This wasn't exercise anymore. It was ceremony. It was prayer without words, gratitude without sound. She inhaled deeply, letting the breath fill her chest with light. Then exhaled, feeling the weight of the day drift quietly away. In that stillness, she thought of all the moments her body had carried her through. The laughter, the tears, the long walks, the silent afternoons. Each stretch was her way of saying thank you. Thank you for holding me. Thank you for staying. Her arms circled outward, like wings unfurling at dusk. Her spine curved and straightened with grace, her breath guiding every motion. Outside, the first stars appeared, shimmering above the horizon. Eleanor opened her eyes and smiled, catching their reflection in the window. Her movements slowed even more, until they were just whispers of motion. A tilt of the head, a turn of the wrist, a final breath that lingered like a sigh of peace. She felt lighter, as though her bones had learned how to breathe again. The room was silent, except for the soft hum of the evening breeze. Eleanor sat down, her hands resting gently on her knees. She could feel her heartbeat, steady and calm beneath her palms. Her body, once tense, now felt like water flowing, quiet, free. She whispered softly into the twilight, "I release this day." The words floated through the air, disappearing into the night. For her, stretching had become more than movement. It was a way of returning to calm, to gratitude to herself. And as the stars brightened, Eleanor felt whole again. Peaceful, present, completely alive. The night was quiet, soft like a lullaby wrapping around the world. Eleanor sat on her favorite chair, a blanket over her knees, her body calm. The stretches were done, but something deeper lingered, a stillness inside her. She realized that what began as movement had become reflection. The stretching wasn't just for her muscles anymore. It was for her heart, her mind, her soul. Each breath she took carried more than air. It carried understanding. Her body had been her teacher all along. When she listened to its aches, it taught her patience. When she honored its limits, it showed her compassion. When she moved gently, it whispered back, "You are enough." She had spent so many years thinking strength meant holding on. But now she saw that true strength was learning to release. Her body and her spirit were mirrors, each guiding the other home. Flexibility wasn't only in her limbs, it was in her thoughts, her emotions, her life. She smiled softly, thinking of all the moments she once resisted change. Every time she had clung to comfort, afraid to move, afraid to bend. And yet here she was, more open than ever. The inner stretch, she thought, is the hardest one to learn. You can't see it in the mirror, but you feel it in your heart. It's the moment you forgive yourself for slowing down. The moment you stop comparing your pace to someone else. The moment you begin to move not to prove, but to connect. Eleanor leaned back, her eyes tracing the quiet flicker of candlelight. The flame moved with the air, gentle yet steady, never fighting the breeze. That's how she wanted to live, soft but strong, flexible but grounded. She placed a hand over her heart, feeling its rhythm under her palm. That simple beat had been with her through every chapter. Through loss, through laughter, through silence and song. Now it beat in rhythm with her breath, calm and sure. She whispered softly, "Thank you, body." The words felt like a prayer, small but powerful. Her body answered in stillness, in ease, in quiet gratitude. The stiffness that once felt like resistance now felt like a reminder. To move, to feel, to live. She thought about tomorrow, about how she would wake and stretch again. Not because she had to, but because she wanted to. Each stretch was a message, a gentle promise to stay connected, to stay kind, to stay awake to the miracle of motion. Her breath deepened, her eyelids heavy with calm. Outside, the wind brushed softly against the window pane. The night hummed like a song she almost remembered. Eleanor smiled, her heart light, her body warm. The inner stretch was complete, not in movement but in meaning. She had stretched her body into peace, her spirit into freedom. And as she drifted toward sleep, one final thought whispered through her mind. We bend not to break but to grow. And in that truth she rested whole, open, beautifully alive. The morning will come again, soft and golden like a familiar song. Eleanor will wake, her breath steady, her body ready to move once more. Each stretch will feel like a quiet promise, a reminder that life still flows. Her muscles will remember the rhythm, her heart will remember the peace. The world outside may rush, but inside she will move slowly, gently, with care. Every motion will be an act of gratitude, every breath a small celebration. She will lift her arms, reach toward the sky, and feel the warmth of being alive. Not chasing youth, not fighting time, just embracing the beauty of now. Her story is not about age or effort. It's about awareness, the art of moving with grace. The body and soul breathing together, learning balance once again. And as she finishes her final stretch, a quiet smile will bloom. Because she knows movement is a blessing, not a task. Each day, each breath, each moment of flow is a gift. She stands by the window, sunlight kissing her hands, eyes soft with calm. The day begins, and so does she, open, steady, and beautifully alive.